Under the Speaker's announced policy of January 6, 2009, the Chair recognizes the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Golmert, for 60 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to follow up on what my colleague from Texas was talking about as the ranking member on the Terrorism Subcommittee, Homeland Security Subcommittee. And actually, I'm the ranking Republican member on the Crime, Terrorism, and Homeland Security Subcommittee under the Judiciary. So we have some overlapping space there. And I know my friend Mr. Burton, I know my friend Mr. McCall, and their hearts are very much concerned about the safety and well-being of this country. This is some serious stuff that's going on here when the President of the United States says that we need to bring at least some of the most feared terrorists in the world into the most densely populated area in America. Now, having been a judge and a Chief Justice, having had to work out logistics for major trials that had a lot of publicity, nothing like this trial will be. I understand perhaps some of the ramifications that our fine president, with his experience in community organizing, may not quite understand. You can't bring terrorists, and the reason I say terrorists instead of alleged terrorists is because they've admitted it. You can't bring them to the most densely populated area in our country and not expect there to be terror to follow. I mean, I've tried felony cases, death penalty cases, and I know there are other friends here in Congress that have also, and not have some death threats. I had them. I didn't worry about them when it was me. I worried about them when it was my family. And that happens. If you think about the consequences logistically of bringing terrorists, admitted terrorists, to the most densely populated area in America, New York City, where they've already struck at least twice, tried to blow up the World Trade Center. It didn't work the first time. They did some damage, but nothing like the second time. And we're going to bring them right back. We know, thank God, that most Muslims are not jihadists like you find here with Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. But when you read the 6-page pleading that Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the guy that they want to bring to New York for trial, said in his own pleading, and as I understand, he did his own interpretation to English. He'd make statements and he would put them, back them up by a reference, a quote in English from the Quran. And he says, we ask to be near to God. This is Khalid Sheikh Mohammed that our president's inviting to come to New York City. We fight you and destroy you and terrorize you. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed says this in his pleading. And it wasn't just for him. It was on behalf of also the other 4 defendants in this case. But he says, the jihad is God's cause in a great duty in our religion. We have news for you. The news is you will be greatly defeated in Afghanistan and Iraq, and America will fall politically, militarily, and economically. Your end is near, and your fall will be just as the fall of the towers on the blessed 9/11 day. We will rise from the ruins, God willing. We will leave this imprisonment with our noses raised high in dignity as the lion emerges from his den. We shall pass over the blades of the sword into the gates of heaven. We ask from God to accept our contributions to the great attack on America, and to place our 19 martyred brethren among the highest peaks in paradise. Now, this is the guy we want to bring to New York. Now, having logistically set up major cases for trial, I can tell you, you have jailers who are going to be responsible for these people in jail 24 hours a day. Those shifts change constantly. You will have to be very attentive, not only to every single jailer, but to every single jailer's family, because these forces will look for weak links in the jailer and the jailer's family. You will have bailiffs in the courts who will also be responsible for their safekeeping and security. The bailiffs and their families will have to be viewed as potential weak links to be utilized by the terrorists. You'll have to think about the clerks who may be marshaling evidence. Them and their families will have to worry about being targets. You'll have to think about potential jurors. Even though the name supposedly would be kept secret, you have to worry about them and their families. And the judge, his name will not be kept secret. The judge and his family will be open targets the rest of their lives. This is scary stuff from a president who knows how to community organize better than any president we've had, but I don't believe he knows the organizational efforts and the weaknesses that will be brought out. And I would yield to my friend from Arizona, Mr. Shadegg.